Hello, and welcome to this week's Movie Math, where, by Jove, Hollywood did it. They actually did it. They recreated Barbenheimer. Well, sort of. As one of you actually tweeted me, Glicked is running pretty much 30% behind Barbenheimer. These days, Hollywood will take it. Ridley Scott, also so close to the biggest opening of his career ever, not accounting for inflation. But he didn't quite make it, which is kind of the tagline for Gladiator 2. Didn't quite make it. All right, so anyway, however, since it's fascinating because the openings for both movies were running about 30% behind, as one of you pointed out. Does that mean that maybe the final totals will also run about 30% behind? So, clickety click, click, click into the calculator. I can still do that level of math. All right. I was like, oh yes, times 0.7. All right. So anyway, that would actually put Wicked at, yes, a little over $1 billion. That's how well Barbie did. You could run 30% behind Barbie and still make $1 billion. And also for Gladiator 2, 682. That's not so bad, right? I mean, Paramount won't make much money due to Ridley Scott going insanely over budget. Thanks, Ridley. But at least they'll save face. There's only one little problem, and that's that audiences don't particularly like Gladiator 2. I know right now one of you is like, I liked it, Grace. But this is why CinemaScore exists. It's very difficult to game the system because, it's done in person. It's spot polling. Spot polling doesn't always work out, as we know. Some movies, their box offices do defy CinemaScore, but Hollywood continues to use it to figure out the likely prospects of a movie's box office numbers, because most of the time it's accurate. So, Oppenheimer got an A. The first Gladiator got an A. But Gladiator 2, it got a B. And with CinemaScore, unless you're a horror movie, anything under a B+, that's the line. And even then, B+ is like, whoo, just made it. You really want an A or A-. But B+ is fine, Anything under that, though, is not a good sign for a film's box office prospects. Therefore, Gladiator 2 might actually settle in at the 500 million range worldwide. It's already at 221, thanks to opening overseas last weekend. I think that puts it in the same range as Godzilla x Kong, which I think actually makes a lot of sense. I think that's kind of where Gladiator 2, considering the quality of the film, belongs, Godzilla x Kong, better when we thought it would be horrible. And Gladiator 2, not quite as good as we hoped it would be. Now here's the wild card. What's Moana 2 gonna do? Ooh, what are your Thanksgiving weekend movie plans? Yes, the holiday season is heating up, which means things are getting very festive, but also very busy. You've got movies to see, holiday shopping to do, baking, planning, but also work, school, and all the usual chores. So how would you like to free up some time? Factor, part of the HelloFresh family, is the fastest, healthiest, freshest, most cost-effective meal that you can get delivered right to your door. Think about it. No grocery shopping, no cooking. You just pop one of these babies into the microwave, and in 2 minutes, you're eating a hot, healthy meal. Gotta look good for those holiday photos. Gotta save room for those holiday sweets. I'm crazy busy this time of year, so to have a bunch of Factor meals in my fridge is a huge lifesaver. But you're not locked in either. You can adjust your orders, plus pause or reschedule your deliveries at any time. And yes, it's the season of giving, so I have an offer for you. Head to factor75.com or click the link right down below and use code 50BTT to get 50% off plus free shipping with your first box. That's code 50BTT at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free shipping with your first box. Make your holiday season easier and healthier with Factor. Plus, thanks to Factor for sponsoring this episode of Movie Math. Now, back to this brewing box office storm. Remember, Hollywood thought that Moana was going to wipe everybody off the box office map? Now, it doesn't look like that's necessarily the case. Which ships are you betting on? All right, so last year, well, we're talking Barbenheimer, so let's talk Barbenheimer a little. So last year, due to the strikes, with the acting strike happening right before Barbie opened, remember that? They did their press a little bit early just to beat the strike. There wasn't another female-friendly movie in theaters for months. Months! In fact, it was mid-October with Taylor Swift. So that's July to October. That was all for Barbie. But now, here's Wicked and Moana 2 going head-to-head in just a few days. Oh, I've been checking the multiplexes. Oh, I love that feature, check seats. It's so fun. And it's like with sports fans, checking stats and all this kind of, whatever sports fans check. That's how we are in the movie game. But right off the bat, Gladiator 2 seems to be being hit the hardest because they're losing a lot of big screens. So I was trying to figure out the breakdown. So also, I'm going to see Wicked again. So I was looking to see it on a big screen. So Wicked is taking, rejoice Wicked fans, it's taking the first 2/3 of each day's IMAX showings because Moana 2 will have those same showtimes over on Dolby. Then later in the day, theaters are guessing that Moana 2 is going to be matinee heavy because it's a family film. So at the end of the day, Moana leaves all premium screens. Wicked jumps over to Dolby so that Gladiator 2, which has been on tiny screens the rest of the day, can jump onto the last 2 IMAX showings of the day. But that's not a lot. It's really only one showing because it's such a long movie. That second showing is until like 10:30 at night or so. So really sucks for Gladiator 2. Theaters are clearly betting on Wicked and Moana 2. Again, Moana 2 is a family film, and Wicked has fandemonium. Oh, with superfans pledging to go 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20 times. Or are they just saying that on social media? How many times do you plan to go? I know for some of you, you're not just saying it. Although, based on what I've been seeing, speaking of social media, the movie-going experience is quickly deteriorating to a Lord of the Flies type situation. Oh, it's rough in there. People are apparently, it's their nth viewings, the super fans. They've seen it a bunch of times, the movie, not to mention how many times they've seen the live show. So they're there singing along, maybe. I haven't heard too many people singing yet. Did anybody sing? I think right now everybody knows that's not right, but I think that dam's about to burst any minute. I don't know if people can wait till the sing-along screenings in December. So we're talking singing along to the movie, and then also people are taking a lot of photos in the theater of themselves, of the screen. They're driving other people crazy, while some people inexplicably defend them. Those people clearly don't like movies. I also think there's a lot of casuals who are going, who are like, what's everybody talking about? I guess I should see Wicked, but they don't really care. They might not even love it. So they might go to their phone because it's such a long movie. Oh man, it could get rough in there. Did any of you some people are already having bad experiences already, and it hasn't even been a full week. We'll see what happens. So beware if you're seeing Wicked in theaters in the next few days. Be prepared to potentially be annoyed. I hope not. I'm nervous. I'm going again. I'm scared. Don't ruin my Wicked movie-going experience, please. I'm going with people who haven't seen it yet. I fear for them. I saw it in a press screening, and everyone was extremely well-behaved, and it was glorious. We'll see. I hope movie theaters are on top of this. Snicker, snicker. Of course they're not going to be on top of it. They're like, we're not going in there. You try arguing with a Wicked super fan on their 20th. Which just happened. They've gone 20 times. How many times are you going to see it? Once? That's what I thought. We're on the Wicked super fan side. All right? Universal maybe could step in. Maybe they could have, they're making so much money, they don't care. They're like, whatever, man, let it turn into a Lord of the Flies situation. We're too busy over here counting money and popping champagne corks. Because yes, Universal really did it. Oh boy, did they do it. Who cares that it took them 20 plus years to bring Wicked to the big screen? It seems that it was worth the wait. They did it right, which is something that can be so rarely said in Hollywood today. By the way, interestingly, Universal didn't have to bid for Wicked to do the film adaptation. They produced it themselves through their theatrical division. It's interesting. Some other studios, like Disney, who we're going to talk about in a minute, with their theater division, they don't do original material. They're just doing adaptations of their movies. But here, Universal developed something original, huge hit. Now it's a huge hit in the other direction. So they not only blew the top off of the Broadway movie adaptation chart, not a tall order there. You can see that the numbers were quite low for everybody else. But they're also, speaking of Disney, really starting to challenge the mouse. Remember we always thought it would be Warner Brothers? There's always Warner Brothers versus Disney. But surprise, here comes Universal. They so often, come sniping from the side, as Erica Jane likes to say for Real Housewives of Beverly Hills fans. Usually Universal keeps a low profile. They're like, Ixnay talking about our strength, the Oxboffisnay, or whatever. They're starting to make bold moves because they're emboldened. I think they see an opening, as Disney's political drama does not seem to be letting up anytime soon. Case in point, Disney released the new trailer for Snow White only in theaters to play in front of Wicked starting like Wednesday, the same trailer that they debuted at D23 Brazil. But they have yet to officially, it leaked online, they have yet to officially release it online, interestingly after Rachel Zegler's statements post-election. So that's new. Conservative audiences' hunger for a Disney replacement or alternative has been palpable, with them already rooting for Universal as they fight with Disney. We saw it with Super Mario Brothers. We see it with Epic Universe. Very interesting. And I wonder if to a degree we're seeing it with Wicked. Only Disney's Beauty and the Beast, the live action one, a remake, and Frozen 2, a sequel, opened bigger when it comes to overall musicals. But this is the first film in a new IP in this space, which is challenging Disney in an area where they've historically dominated. In fact, they've dominated in this area for for as long as there have been movies. Disney has dominated with fairy tale fantasy. But yet here comes Universal. This is incredible. Disney even tried to do Wizard of Oz themselves, as you might recall. So first, Universal starts going after theme parks. It started small. Well, it wasn't small. Universal's been, maybe that's what made them feel, maybe we can do this. But they've been very successful in the theme park space. They've also started to do live action adaptations of their animated movies, although so far they're enjoying some of the same headaches that Disney has had, interestingly enough. And then also, now they're going after fairy tale fantasy and Thanksgiving. Oh, shots fired. Now, sure, other studios and franchises have done well over the 5-day turkey weekend over the years. But Disney, particularly Disney Animation, has really carved out a space here recently. So much so that Wicked even backed off. They were originally going to open for Thanksgiving themselves. And they're like, oh, let's go back. How incredible. They went back a week. History is being made now because of it. Oh. What impact will this have on the holiday weekend box office? There's 5 days, right? Maybe even more when you consider Tuesday afternoon. Sure, but there's also travel and Thanksgiving itself and shopping, Black Friday sales. So, is there room for all three movies? And other movies are like, we're here too. And we're like, are you? But I think surely they're going to cannibalize each other. It's just, you might have seen one movie multiple times. You might put another movie off until the weekend after. I think it's going to affect all of them. And so I think it will be interesting to see what order they come in at by the end of the weekend. I think Moana 2 is expected, of course, to dominate. It's the new movie in the frame. It's extremely successful on Disney+. But let's not underestimate Wicked's insane repeat watchability. I mean, if you have checked the pre-sales for this coming week, it's like Wicked is also opening for the first time. I mean, these sales are just off the charts. I think its second weekend hold, what if it, for the 5-day, what if it goes up? I mean, this is just very, very impressive. You might have already said, but how many times do you plan to see Wicked in theaters? And what's Moana 2's Rotten Tomato score going to look like? Talk about a wild card. It certainly has raised eyebrows that Disney has decided to lift the review embargo for the film on Tuesday, mere hours before the film hits theaters. The review embargo lifts at 12 noon, and Moana 2 starts playing in theaters at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's amazing. They didn't even offer early awards screenings like they did with Wish last year. They've been very controlled as to who has seen this in advance. So far, it's only been the members of the press who participated in the junket and the premiere over the weekend, which was in Hawaii. They went all out. They also had to fly there because Dwayne Johnson is wrapping up the live-action Moana film, which there were a couple of on-set leaks as well over the past few days. Those leaks got more attention, which I think gives you a good idea of the space that we're in and what people think of these different projects, etc., than the premiere itself. Because what do you know? They had a huge premiere in Hawaii and flew all this press to Hawaii, which is no small feat. But then they did it the weekend that Wicked was dominating social media. Very little traction for the Moana 2 premiere on social media because everyone was talking about Wicked. Although everyone's algorithm is different. Are you in a Moana 2 bubble? Did you see a lot of Moana 2 pics on social media? I was seeing just wicked. It's funny. Elon Musk is like really turning up the bubbles. You used to feel you got a little bit of crossover. That was the whole thing about Twitter. I guess, you see what's trending. And neither of them, to be fair, neither Wicked nor Moana 2 ever trended that I saw. Sometimes movies trend when they open. Neither of them trended. So, I don't know. Wicked made a lot of money, so some people are liking it. But it is interesting. All right, Wicked is turning out to be a tidal wave. So we'll see how Moana and Maui ride that wave. To a lot of families, I think Moana 2 will be review-proof. But to older moviegoers, if it's even just a little soft, that could make a difference. They might opt to see Wicked or Gladiator 2 for the first or second times. Anyways, do you think you're going to see Gladiator 2 more than once? I can't imagine anybody would see that more than once in theaters. Although some of you really like it, apparently. Although that cinema score, I think, is vital. Maybe some people also go see Red One, right? Now that it's officially the Christmas season here in the United States. Dwayne, what are you doing? Friendly fire. This is incredible. A lot of Dwayne the past few days. Most of it, not great. Wicked has incredible audience scores. So much so that I saw film nerds complaining online that there are too many fans coming onto Letterboxd. That must be it. No one could have possibly liked Wicked that much. Maybe they did. You ever think that Letterboxd score is legit? Huh? And also, who do you think's on Letterboxd? A bunch of film professors? God forbid your platform become popular. Oh no. All right, so anyway, that's like what's wrong with film nerds in a nutshell. All right, so everybody's coming over here and wants to be in our space. All right, so while Gladiator 2's budget spun out of control, Jon Chu can also boast how fiscally responsible he is. Oh, another feather in his bountiful cap. Wicked Part 1 cost just $145 million. That's pennies with today's budgets, not including advertising. And considering that movie is everywhere, I think they'd spend at least 100% of the budget on the advertising. Remember, it's anywhere from 50 to 150% of the budget. Now, also remember that the break-even point for a movie is 2.5 times the budget. So, because, theaters get their cut of the box office. So Wicked's break-even is like just 362.5. That's amazing. That's so little. It's currently at 164. You might be like, whoa, why just 164? Well, that's because, remember, it got pushed back a week. So a lot of its overseas dates stayed where they were. So it's not going to open overseas in a couple places, not for a week or so. So for instance, it doesn't hit China until December 6th. And then also France, Germany, and Japan, big overseas markets, they are still to go as well. So unless something crazy happens, I think it's very likely that Wicked will join the $1 billion club, the third film this year to do so, and probably the last. Now, this is fascinating to me. Oh, we're about to go in a fascinating direction. What does this mean for part 2? I love this for us. All right, so that hits theaters November 21st, 2025. Again, the weekend before Thanksgiving, where Disney plans to release Zootopia 2. Ooh, friendly fire. I love Zootopia. I don't want anything to happen to Zootopia, but I don't know if it can withstand Wicked Part 2, to be honest with you. It's just, I don't know. I think it's going to be hard. But wait, it gets worse. So with Wicked's mega success and the earlier date, and they've even set up another potential Barbenheimer. Oh, they're really cooking with gas over there at Universal's release and publicity department, because they're opening opposite Paramount's The Running Man remake with Mr. Glenn Powell. I don't think that's very interesting. I think a lot of people will definitely do double features that weekend. Jonathan Bailey and Glenn Powell. Yes, thank you, please. I don't think Universal will blink. I think that's a very strong position. So the question is, will Disney? I think that all depends on how Moana 2 does this holiday weekend. If it aligns with projections, the projections are so high, I don't think it can go higher. But maybe it can. And then also, it could fall short. Honestly, I'd kind of want to get Zootopia 2 not only away from Wicked Part 2, but it's in a Wicked Avatar sandwich. The first Zootopia made $1 billion, but does it really have space to work between those two movies? I don't know. That's rough. However, that would mean Disney would be abandoning Thanksgiving 2025. What would you do? All right, here's what I might do. Part of me would be like, hey, why can't I be the Oppenheimer in this situation if I were Disney? I'd be like, let's be the Oppenheimer to Wicked Part 2. So I've got Tron Ares, which I could move back. That's coming out in October. Or also Predator Badlands, Wicked Predator. That's some excellent counter programming. I don't know. I feel Tron might be a little similar, particularly with Jared Leto. But maybe not. I think Tron and Wicked could be quite the exciting weekend where you do that double feature. And then they both hold over through Thanksgiving. But then also, if I move Predator or Tron into that space, Avatar 3 is going to eat my own movie just a few weeks later. So again, what would you do? But Disney must defend its supremacy. A new experience for them. This is very interesting. Very, very interesting. Again, what would you do? As for Wicked's talent, Jon Chu is going to be busy overseeing post-production for the sequel for the next couple of months. But he's also already booked, he has a lot of bookings already. For Disney, he has the Swiss Family Robinson series, which he will direct. But also Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat at Amazon MGM. Ooh. But then also, of course, Crazy Rich Asians 2 at Warner Brothers, which everyone's been asking him about. And he's already starting to make demands. He's like, I won't do it unless I like it. Think about that, Warner Brothers. And they're like, we don't know. We had such a bad experience with Todd Phillips. Although I just really think that both Amazon, MGM, and Warner Brothers are going to be salivating to get these two respective movies starting. Really. What an amazing 180, considering how many clunkers Jon Chu has made. We were all nervous when he got this gig. We were like, Jon Chu? Really? It had seemed like Crazy Rich Asians was the anomaly, but it seems it's his new normal. Oh! I mean, it just goes to show that in Hollywood, you can stay alive as long as you have a big hit somewhere in your recent past. And again, for Jon Chu, that was Crazy Rich Asians. He had a lot of crap, though. But he did it! He held on! He held on just long enough. And now he's very conceivably a superstar director. Although Greta Gerwig kind of stalled out of the gate. Could that potentially happen to Jon Chu as well? We all thought Greta Gerwig was going to blow up. Didn't even get an Oscar nomination for Best Director. Although I don't think Jon Chu is going to either. All right, so anyway, Cynthia Erivo is pretty particular, as we've learned. That's good. I think she's earned it. So I suspect her next project will be one that she produces herself over at Universal, where she just got a producing deal. However, as some of you have been telling me, on social media, she's making it clear she'd really like to be Storm. And I got to tell you, at this box office, if I were Kevin Feige, you got to at least take that meeting. I would consider it. I don't know what age range he's going for with the X-Men, but, Cynthia Erivo, once you see Wicked, she has just such presence on screen, and she has that regal quality that you're looking for in Storm. And she's just flying around like crazy at the end of Wicked, just like Storm. And, I told you I loved the end of Wicked. And one of you pointed out to me that Jon Chu and Cynthia Erivo revealed that Jon Chu actually structured that final sequence to be like a superhero sequence. And that's why I think it's so effective and why I think it has crossover appeal. Now, hey, maybe you want to go see Wicked if you haven't seen it yet. But yeah, I mean, I can maybe see it. I think she might be I'd ask Ryan Coogler what he thinks. But I think she could be good. I think maybe she could do it. Now, Ariana Grande. Oh, Hollywood is now her oyster. She can do whatever she wants. And she has nothing lined up. She has no acting gigs lined up. This is very interesting. You better believe she's going to be at the top of every studio's wish list. Every studio will be vying for her. So the question is, can Donna Langley keep her at Universal? We'll see what happens. I think Donna Langley will obviously try very hard. And I think Ariana Grande will be loyal to them because they gave her a lead with really no movie experience. I mean, of course, as many of you like to point out, she's an experienced actress on the small screen, and she's certainly proven herself now on the big screen, but it was a risk to go with her. All right, back to Gladiator 2. I think it's really unlikely with the cinema score that Ridley Scott makes Gladiator 3. In fact, with the cinema score, I think it will be hard for Ridley Scott to break out of the situation he currently finds himself in and just complain to the Hollywood Reporter about, and that's having to fight to be included in every big project that he eventually gets included in. Alien Romulus got a B+ cinema score. I'm just saying. I think 20th Century is going to stick with Fetty. Ridley Scott was trying to push Fetty Alvarez out, which is like, whoa. And I know that I know Gladiator 2 is going to make more money than Alien Romulus, although unless it falls off a cliff this coming weekend, we'll see. But still, I feel like, I think everybody kind of is like, Ridley, I think Ridley's proven he's just doing more of the same, or Fetty Alvarez, I hope Alien Romulus just hit Hulu. I hope it's exploding. It did very well in digital. I hope people feel that that's a thing on the way up. All right, I don't think anyone in the cast will be really hurt by Gladiator 2. I mean, Pedro Pascal and Joseph Quinn are already in Marvel's The Fantastic Four. And most people are saying that Denzel, while not perfect in the movie, is the best one in it. The only cast member that I think this is a problem for is Paul Mescal, because I think everyone, from critics to audiences, has agreed that he is not leading man material in this level of a film. Back to indie small films and awards films for you. Oh, how sad. It's fine. He'll be fine. But I hope he saves and invests the money that he was paid for this. We'll see if Ridley Scott still moves forward with him in his next project. Although Ridley Scott, as it's proven, makes horrible decisions, so maybe he will. Paul Mescal might just work with Ridley Scott for a couple of years, which some other actors have done. So that's fine, All right, as for the rest of the top 10, we'll see who gives them money. If anyone gives them money to go play around, that's on them. All right, so as for the rest of the top 10, as expected, with so many theaters going to Wicked and Gladiator 2, both with trailers are over 3 hours, so you need a lot of screens to have multiple showtimes throughout the day, Red One fell almost 60% in just its second weekend. It's over 100 million worldwide, but that budget's really weighing it down. I think it will also continue to drop because here comes Moana 2, also with The Rock, and fans know it's going to hit Prime Video pretty soon, particularly the worse it does. That's just going to speed up. They're not going to sit on that movie for a year. It will hit Prime Video this holiday season. Maybe not, but that would be stupid. I was talking to somebody the other day and they were like, so that probably means with Hollywood it's true, but we'll see. Angel Studios released a new film. Not bad. Not as big as Cabrini in March. They really have not been able to come anywhere near to replicating the success of Sound of Freedom. Venom, but they didn't produce that movie either. They just distributed it. Venom 3 is now at 456 worldwide. It's not going to get to 500 at this point, but that's still incredible considering what's happened with the rest of the Sony Spider-Man-less movies. But on that note, there are now rumors that maybe Tom Hardy will finally appear in Tom Holland's next Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man 4. That would be very interesting, and I think long overdue. We'll see it. Tom Holland seems to have a real aversion to the Spider-Man-less Sony movies, so we'll see what he decides. Only the best Christmas pageant ever was able to weather this blockbuster storm over the weekend, falling just 33% in its third weekend. And I think it could get a little boost over the coming holiday weekend because it's a holiday movie. It pulled slightly ahead of Heretic. Of course, they were running neck and neck for the first 2 weeks. Awards contenders were hit particularly hard this weekend. They lost a lot of screens. With a real pain, the only one able to stay in the top 10, while Conclave and Anora both fell out. Expect both of those to hit digital relatively soon, and Conclave is in fact rumored to hit digital this Tuesday. You should definitely watch it. It's so good if you haven't already. Over on streaming, starting with Nielsen for late October, bad news witches, but Agatha once again fell off the originals chart even. It's never made the overall, but it couldn't even stay on the originals chart. And it's second to last week with episode 7. Damn. Next weekend, we'll see if it gets a boost from the 2-part finale and all the people who might binge it at the last minute. Penguin, 2 weeks from its finale at this period for these Nielsen charts, still has yet to show up anywhere on them. Netflix has a death grip on originals, with only Paramount Plus's Tulsa King just renewed for not just 1 more, but 2 more seasons, and Hulu's Only Murders are able to get on here as well. Only Murders, by the way, here is in its second to last episode of this 4th season. On the overall chart, Lost is having a moment now that it's back on Netflix, while Tyler Perry's new series made it onto this chart as well. But 6 of these on the overall are old shows. So still, and again, I think it's very telling. Again, they have tons of episodes as well, but people are clicking on the older stuff. Ugh. Anna Kendrick's Woman of the Hour made the overall chart this week and is still number 1 on the movies chart, where Disney Plus is doing well with not only Inside Out 2, but old school Halloween favorites. Over on Netflix's charts for just last week, starting with movies, Hot Frosty is more Warm Frosty, with a soft number 1. Although pretty good for no big stars. Plus another Christmas movie, Meet Me Next Christmas, is right behind it at number 2. And hey, Alita Battle Angel fans, it got up to number 4 in its first full week on Netflix. That's pretty good. I don't know if it's going to change Alita Battle Angel's fate. That's pretty good. You should take that win. That's pretty nice. Over on shows, Arcane Season 2 now has 6 episodes. They're dropping them on Saturdays. These are solid. These numbers they're solid. They're mid-range for a Netflix show. It's not one of Netflix's really hot shows. I think they took too long a break between seasons. Plus, I think part 1 and 2 were a little weak. And I think they did some damage. But part 3, which just dropped yesterday, is incredible. So hopefully it doesn't take too long to get to the next whatever they decide to do with League of Legends with animation. What did you think of Arcane now that you've seen all 3 parts? And do you think it got much better at the end, or did you love the whole thing? But also, wow, you got to look at that beauty at the top, Paul versus Tyson. Those are Bridgerton numbers. Also, full Me Once numbers. That's how well Fool Me Once did. As for movies, Extraction 2, Leave the World Behind, Damsel, Axel F, and yes, The Union also delivered similar numbers. Big stars still get big clicks. And in fact, those movies all did around that their first weekend, but then also the week after. Whereas I think, obviously, people aren't going to rewatch or tune in late to Paul versus Tyson. So, interesting. But no doubt, live sports are the next frontier for Netflix. Next up, NFL on Christmas Day. We'll see if they've fixed their buffering situation. Boy, if you have a buffer situation on football and with Beyonce in the halftime show in the night game, oh, good luck. Netflix is like, hey man, you're still tweeting about us. On digital with Apple, it's already starting to look a lot like Christmas with not just one, but 2 Grinches in the top 10. Both are on sale for just $10, but a lot of holiday movies are on sale. And just these 2 made the top 10. Jim Carrey's Grinch is number 1. That's pretty promising for the upcoming Sonic movie. The newly released Smile and We Live in Time, as well as Reagan, are competing with the recent big blockbusters. And as you can see, people are still feeling nostalgic for the original Gladiator, probably especially after they see the current one. They're like, oh, let's go wash that out of our eyes with the original. As for this coming weekend, yes, it's Thanksgiving this week, meaningless to many of you. However, it does greatly affect your entertainment schedules. Because here in the United States, it's a big freaking deal. Why? Because everybody's off. From work, from school, you're off for like 5 days. Again, there's a lot going on in that space, but everyone's in a party mood. You're going to want to go to the movies at least once. I'm curious, how many times do you think you'll go to the movies over the long weekend? Moana hits theaters Tuesday afternoon, while on Friday, A24 will release yet another awards contender, Queer. I'm sorry to say it's not a particularly good movie, but also Maria, and those 2 are in limited release. That's not from A24, Maria. On digital, Terrifier 3 arrives on Tuesday. Remember, it's a Halloween Christmas movie, so it can play for both holidays. And again, it's rumored that Conclave will as well. Also, DC's animated Watchmen Part 2 drops. And I wouldn't be surprised if there weren't a couple of surprise movies that debut as well on digital, because again, it's a long holiday weekend. As for streaming movies, with Netflix already started on holiday films, here come the rest of the streaming services. Tomorrow, you can watch Dear Santa on Paramount Plus from the Farrelly Brothers with Jack Black. Someone in my family really wants to watch that, in fact. I don't think they know that it starts tomorrow. I'm excited to give them that news. On Thursday, Max has Sweethearts. I don't know if that's a holiday movie, but on Friday, Hulu has Ben Stiller in Nutcrackers. Then finally with series, tomorrow Hulu has the Family Guy Holiday Special. I saw that in advance. It's very funny. While on Thursday, Netflix drops The Madness and also a holiday special edition of Is It Cake? Then on Friday, Paramount Plus starts star-studded The Agency, but is it coming too close on the heels of The Day of the Jackal on Peacock, which was just renewed? Very similar. All right, but hey, if you need something to watch, here's something. And that's this week's Movie Math. What have you been watching? What do you plan to watch? And just how much do you think Wicked will defy box office gravity? Also, what do you think will happen when it and Gladiator 2 collide with Moana 2 for the holiday? Share those thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.